Now it's a privilege to introduce and ask His Excellency Minister Younes Sekkouri, Minister of Economic Inclusion, Small Business and Employment. Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين. Honorable heads of states, heads of governments, ministers, dear Chair and President of Amadeus, Mr. Harb, our friend of always. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very delighted to be part of this closing ceremony. I got used now. And it's always a pleasure to come and share thoughts, and based, of course, on the discussions that you had. And it's always a pleasure also to see how successful this forum is. And I think that once again, it deserves your applause. There are three questions I'm asking myself and I'd like to share with you. The first one is we need to explore this dilemma between the world, the arena of values, of ethics, principles that should normally shape the new global equation, and the world, the arena of interests. So when I heard most of the speeches, the hassle is there. And the following question is there, or is it possible to have a model, a grounded model of leadership that tries to make the synthesis between these two opponent forces? I believe, as far as, you know, I'm the Moroccan minister, I'll speak about Morocco. I think that here in Morocco, under the leadership of His Majesty, we've got something to offer to the region and to the world, very modestly. We've got a leadership model that was very successful, transforming the reality of our population. We thank you for mentioning 2797. We're celebrating this momentum in the history of our country, where after 50 years of a dispute, of a conflict, we are in a situation today where the story, the narrative of Morocco triumphed, not because we forced something, but because we made it happen. We provided the example through our democracy, through the way economic development was driven, and through the way we tried as far as we could, and we will do even more, give leadership to youth in all the stages of decision making. This model of leadership, I think, is based on a very important, it's not a secret, but I might tell that it's a very important, or the cornerstone of this model is that the system of government in our country has developed tools that enable those who govern to listen to the population, and when problems arise, there are mechanisms to solve the issues. I remember this little story that I read somewhere, where a mayor of a big city was running for office. So he went and met the population for his electoral campaign, because he was asking himself on what theme, on what topic should he base the campaign. So he found out that it should be on security, because he so that the people felt unsafe in that city in the world. He got elected. He appointed the new chief security or police officer. And he asked him, of course, to bring a plan so that he can answer to his constituencies' requirements. The guy, the new appointed police chief officer, gathered, on his turn, his team. And he asked for KPIs, he asked for stories that are told there. And what he saw is that everything was either green or yellow. Nothing was on the red. So there was a gap between what the mayor felt when he was running into office and what the system, the official, authenticated, scientific system was telling. So he decided to take out his official suit of the policeman, and he developed paths between different points in the city where he would go every day for nearly 2 months to see himself qualitatively what was happening. You know what he discovered? He discovered that when he had to go in the subway, in the underground, or take the public transportations, the number of harassments that the people, the normal, simple people would experiment was very important, but no single harassment turned into something the police system could capture as a KPI system. So what happened in so many countries in the world, while developing their own economic policies, development policies, sometimes social policies, they missed this very central point. What they were measuring was not that accurate. And there are so many other layers that were not captured, but these policymakers, but these decision makers that made revolutions come to a certain number of countries, or made the gap even broader between the policymakers and the population. What we should not meet if we want to reinvent the global equation is not to miss this system of measures and not to be misled by the power of computation, the power of statistics. Because statistics and systems of measures, they measure the impact, for sure, but they hardly measure the experience that is lived by every single citizen every day. And this develops frustration and so many other maybe behaviors that might turn to something that is very bad, including exclusion. Since we are in a forum that talks for the South, I think we're in a privileged place of a forum that talks to the South and for the South and on behalf of the South. And I've heard all the speeches asking for a global mobilization to that objective. I'm not going to tell you what the South needs to do, because we've heard a lot, but I might tell you what the South needs to avoid. And once again, and this is my last word, it's a very small little story or anecdote, if you want. Once upon a time, 3 heads of states, not the ones we have here, 3 heads of states for a state that does not exist anymore. It's the Soviet Union, for your information. 3 heads of states were sitting in a carriage of a train that was coming back from Siberia or whatever place to the capital. And suddenly, the train stopped. So one of them, the one who was governing in the 50s, the 40s and the 50s, he was shocked. He was very angry. And he said to the 2 others, "Why this train has stopped while I'm in the train?" A tyrant. So he went out of the carriage of the train, to see what was happening. 20 minutes afterwards, he came back to the carriage with his two other mates, or comrades, les camarades. So they asked him, "What did you do, Excellency?" He said, "I shot the driver of the train because it was an accident." So he went through a cow. So the train was not moving, and the driver was dead. This was the situation. So then the second one has to do something, the second head of the state that was there. So his turn, he got out from the carriage and tried to see what was happening. 20, 30 minutes later, he comes back. And the two others say, "Comrade, what did you do?" He said, "Well, after I discovered that the driver of the train was a good person, so I kind of reestablished this person on a posthumous title. Je l'ai réhabilité à titre posthume. C'était un bon gars pour la Révolution." But the train was still not moving, and the driver was dead. So the third one didn't take the time to get out from the carriage of the train. He just took the carpet of the window and closed it and said, "Let's do as if the train was moving." This is what we should avoid in our countries. Immobilism should be avoided if we want to be part of the world of this century. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.
Sounded like the story